The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Listening to this podcast does not create an attorney-client relationship with Foyle Legal. For advice tailored to your situation, please consult a qualified legal professional. Welcome to Personal Injury Claims Explained by Foyle Legal, your trusted source for understanding personal injury claims in Western Australia. Each week, we simplify complex legal issues, from motor vehicle accidents to workplace injuries, so you can confidently navigate your rights and claim the compensation you deserve.
Ever get rear-ended? It's a jolt. Even if, the damage seems kind of minor at first, and suddenly there's that sore neck and you're thinking, is this whiplash? And what does making a claim even mean?
It's interesting you say sore neck, actually. A lot of people misunderstand what whiplash actually is. This guide, it really emphasizes that it's a very specific injury. That sudden back and forth, like a whip, hence the name, I guess, can cause damage that goes way beyond what you feel right away.
So let's break that down a bit. Say you're an offender bender, like I mentioned. What's the very first thing you should do after you realize, okay, my neck really hurts?
Go see a doctor. And I don't just mean any doctor. Try to find one who really understands soft tissue injuries, especially whiplash. This guide, they really hammer home how important medical documentation is, and it has to start right away.
So even if I think, it's just a bit stiff, I'll walk it off, that's a mistake.
Could be a costly one. This guide actually goes into detail about how a lot of times lawyers will use your medical history to show that any neck or back problems, they actually started after the accident happened. Without that initial doctor visit, you don't have a baseline. You can't prove that the injury was because of the crash.
That's where it gets really interesting, right? Because it's not just about treating the pain, it's also about preparing for a potential claim. And speaking of which, this guide mentions a notice of intention to make claim form. What's that all about?
Basically, that form is your first official step if you're thinking about making a claim. But it's not just a formality. It's your chance to really lay it all out, describe the accident, what happened, all the details from your point of view.
So that's where keeping good records is super important.
Absolutely. This guide cannot emphasize that enough. We're talking police reports, if you have them, any witnesses, their info, even photos, like anything you can think of that relates to the damage to your car. Things that seem small at the time, they can end up being really important later on.
Like what kinds of details? Give me an example.
Let's say, for example, you remember that the other car, their brake lights weren't working. Now, that might seem minor, but it could be really important in proving negligence down the line.
So it's like you're putting a puzzle together and you want all the pieces, even if you don't know how they fit yet.
Exactly. And honestly, that's often where having a good lawyer, someone experienced, makes a world of difference. They know what evidence is valuable, and they know how to use it to build a strong case.
It sounds like that kind of guidance, getting it early, can really make or break a claim later down the line. But let's be real, the big question everyone has after an accident is, what's the financial side of this? What can someone actually expect from a whiplash claim here in WA?
The million-dollar question, right? Though to be honest, here in WA, it's almost never even close to that. This guide, it actually gives a really specific average amount for whiplash settlements. About $35,000 to $36,000.
Wow, that's oddly specific. Is there a reason for that range?
I think it probably comes down to a few things. First off, that number, that's your medical bills, lost wages, even things that are harder to put a price on, like pain and suffering. Plus, Western Australia, we have a limit on what they call non-pecuniary damages.
Non-pecuniary damages? It sounds kind of legalistic. Explain it to me like I'm, not a lawyer.
Basically, it's just a fancy way of saying the impact on your life that's not just about the money. So things like emotional distress, maybe you can't enjoy your hobbies anymore because of the injury, stuff like that. Here in WA, there's actually a cap on how much you can claim for that. But the guide makes it clear that it's really rare to get that full amount in a whiplash case.
So it's not just about proving the physical pain and the bills. It's about showing how the injury messed with your whole life.
Exactly. And writing all that down, documenting it, it's just as important as those medical records we talked about. Keep a journal, make notes about how your day-to-day life has changed. All of that stuff is really important when you're building your case.
This is making a lot more sense now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got proving you were hurt, proving how it affected you. What about the financial hit? Like if you can't work because of the injury?
Right. So that's where economic loss comes in. It means just what you're saying, how much money you've lost because of this injury. missed paychecks, maybe you can't work as much in the future, even things like childcare if you're not well enough to look after your kids.
So basically, every single time you miss work, every doctor's appointment that cuts into your workday, all that has to be documented.
You got it. Can't prove it. You can't claim it. And this is another area where, honestly, having an experienced lawyer is huge GE. They know the ins and outs of what paperwork matters, and they can help you get the right evidence.
Speaking of lawyers, this guide mentioned that a lot of firms, Foyle Legal included, they offer this no-win, no-fee deal. What's that mean for someone who's thinking about getting legal help?
It's a good question. It's basically there to make it easier to afford a lawyer. What it means is you only pay legal fees if your lawyer wins the case for you, gets you a settlement. If they don't win, you don't pay them. Take some of the risk out of it, Gives people a better chance to get good legal help no matter how much money they have.
That's good to know for sure. Okay, so let's say someone's been in an accident. They did all the right things with the evidence. They found a lawyer. What's next? What happens during the actual claim process?
Well, if there's one piece of advice I'd give anyone going through this, it's be patient. This guide, it really stresses that these whiplash claims, they can take a while. Like, we're talking 1.5 to 3 years usually. Definitely a marathon, not a sprint or anything.
3 years? Seriously? That's way longer than I think most people would expect. What takes so long?
Well, there are a lot of moving parts, You've got the medical evaluations and all the back and forth with the insurance company. Could be legal stuff too. That's why having a lawyer is so helpful. It means you don't have to deal with all that yourself. They'll be fighting for you the whole time, making sure you get what you deserve.
So having that expert in your corner, it can really take the pressure off during those years while you're waiting.
Totally. A good lawyer, they'll keep you updated, deal with all the other people involved, and just handle the complicated stuff. That way you can, focus on getting better.
This guide is great. It really lays everything out there. And one thing they say over and over again is how each case is different. Just because your friend had a whiplash claim doesn't mean yours is going to be the same.
Exactly. Every accident's different. Your injuries are different. Heck, even the other driver's insurance company can change things. There's no one size fits all, unfortunately.
So even what seems like a simple fender bender can turn into this really complex legal thing.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why, even though this guide is super helpful, it's still so important to get advice from a lawyer who actually knows your situation.
Because at the end of the day, you need that personalized guidance, right? Someone who's looked at your case and can say, okay, here are your options.
100%. They can look at everything, tell you what you can realistically expect, and just help you navigate this whole thing. Because let's be honest, it can be pretty overwhelming, especially when you're already dealing with an injury.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive. We've covered so much ground, from what to do right after an accident, all the way through the ins and outs of a whiplash claim. Any last words of wisdom for our listeners out there who might be going through this right now?
I'd say remember that information is key. Whiplash claims, yeah, they can be a pain, they take a while, but the more you know, the better prepared you'll be. So keep good records, see the right doctors, and seriously, talk to a lawyer who specializes in this stuff. It can make a world of difference.
Couldn't agree more. Huge thanks to our expert for joining us and breaking it all down. And to all of you listening, we hope this deep dive leaves you feeling more confident and informed. Drive safe out there. And remember, we're here to help you tackle life's trickiest topics, one deep dive at a time.
Thank you for listening to Personal Injury Claims Explained by Foyle Legal. We hope this episode helped clarify your rights and next steps in your injury claim. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and visit foylelegal.com for more useful information. See you next time.